All right, everybody, guess what? Oh, here it's right here. I got up at 5 o'clock. So yeah, I don't know how many viewers I'm going to wind up with at 5 o'clock. Usually I wind up with like one peeking in when I do it early. And then, yeah, when I do it like 10 o'clock in the morning or something, I usually have a handful of people actually watch it live. So we'll see what happens. But anyway, freaking tired, man. But I made it. I got up. So, pat on the back for me, I guess. But anyway, I am just wow. Anyway, let me move this over so that you can actually see my pretty face. But yeah, let's talk here for a minute. So I spent most of yesterday working on the podcasts and marketing and things like that. I didn't actually get to work on the app at all. I probably work on the app about half the day. I've got a couple of other things I've got to get done as far as just marketing and outreach and stuff like that. So pretty interesting. I also yesterday, Michael Hartle, who's one of the speakers at Ruby Dev Summit, he's also pretty well known in the Ruby community for his Ruby on Rails tutorial. Anyway, he let me know on that people were asking if Ruby Dev Summit was a scam on Reddit, and so I went and took their looked at their stuff and took their feedback and updated the website a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. But on Wednesday, I went and actually posted the conference to a bunch of social media sites, and I basically went from 130 registered attendees to 300. So that's pretty exciting. As of right now, I can actually look it up. I'm just curious to see where we're at, but anyway, it's just exciting to see some progress with this. At the rate it's going, it's going to blow Angular Dev Summit out of the water. And I think what it comes down to is actual oh wow, it's at 625 now, so it's double again. It basically comes down to the fact that I am promoting it earlier. So Angular Dev Summit had about 770 people when the conference ended, and we're almost there, and we're still a week out from the conference starting. So this is super exciting. So yeah. And I also emailed the list and a bunch of other stuff. So we'll see what happens. I've got to set up a few more emails to go out next week just to let people know, hey, look, there's a conference. I also need to set up some emails to go out to let people know about the webinar that I'm doing with John Daniel Trask. But anyway, sorry if I sound a little bit tired and monotone. I'm trying to inject a little more energy into these videos and into the podcasts, and it's kind of hard in the morning because I'm sitting here going, I'm excited, but I'm talking through my fatigue, and so I feel like I'm just kind of anyway. But I'm thrilled. So 625 registered people. Now, two of those are me. One's a test account that I was just testing some automation, and then the other one was just I just signed up. So anyway, I'm excited. I don't think very many of these are going to be paid attendees. I can check that too, but I don't expect that I'm going to have that many more. Ooh, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 7, 8. I had 8 people sign up for all access passes yesterday. 9 people. Oh, hang on. One of these is a speaker that didn't complete the process because he was trying to get his free ticket. But still, so that's exciting too. I mean, that's $800 that I don't have to go find somewhere else to pay for shows and stuff. So anyway, so yeah, just kind of an update on that. I may just talk through some of the things that I'm doing with this, and we'll see how it goes. But again, I mean, this is also on track this way to blow Angular Dev Summit out of the water, because I think I grossed on Angular Dev Summit about $3,000. In fact, I know that's what I grossed. It was 3,200 and change. And I told the speakers that I'd split the net revenue with them, but I really didn't make very much on that. So I need to let them know that, hey, look, this is what I spent setting things up. This is how much came in. So, I mean, if you want $5 or $10, then, I'll PayPal it to you. But I don't think there's going to be much more than that, because there were 16 speakers. And, so if there was $160, then they all get $10. Actually, they all get $5 because I'm splitting it 50-50 with them. So, and I let them know that. Some of the speakers didn't care about the money, but anyway, so that's kind of the story there. But yeah, I need to just sit down and figure that out. I also realized that I had the planning messed up with React Dev Summit or React Remote Conf. So I'm probably just going to move that to a Dev Summit and set that up to happen in January, and start reaching out to React speakers then. So yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Anyway, I titled this, I Found My Passion. And it's just funny. It's kind of dumb too. I've been kind of going, I am such an idiot. But at the same time, I mean, it's easy to get caught up in all of the minutia of everything you have to get done. And for me, a lot of that minutia is just managing crap, right? So, how do I put it? So anyway, so I wind up, show notes and, posting it to the website and all that crap, making sure that we have guests lined up. And lately I've been spending about half of my time chasing sponsors, and, so just stuff like that. And it's like, okay, I have all these things that I've got to get done, and no, it's very much fun. And so I talked yesterday about going to lunch with Eric, and he got me working on this sponsorship thing. And so, I got going on it, and it was actually kind of a slog to get started, to be perfectly honest. So so anyway, but I got started. I hadn't written Rails in I don't even know how long, like not in a serious way. I'd started a couple of toy projects, but I didn't get very far on them. This is the furthest I've gotten on anything in a while. But it was just kind of funny because I got in, and once I got going, like after I'd spent a day or so on this app, because I spent a bunch of time yesterday evening on it too. I spent the majority of the day doing marketing and stuff. But yeah, so I jumped in and got working on that. And funny thing, I am loving doing this, and this is what got me into coding in the first place. And so I love doing the podcast, but there are a lot of things that are involved in the podcast that I just don't love doing. And of course, that's what this app is intended to fix, right? So it's kind of interesting though that it's just, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. And so yeah, I got it all set up, I got it all pulled together, and yeah, so now what I'm doing is I'm working on this app. And if you jump in and really look at it, so I don't know if I actually have it up here somewhere. I think this is it. But yeah, so I'm learning a ton. I'm learning as much about like designing and architecting an app as anything else. So yeah, so I pulled together basically just kind of a dashboard for sponsors, so that they can see what we have available, like what spots are available, and then they can just claim them right here. So they can actually click on a button that says, sponsor, claim this sponsorship spot, and then they can sponsor Anyway, and it'll show them which shows are filled and which shows have openings and all this stuff. But anyway, they can just go in and they can click where they want to sponsor, and then they can check out. And so anyway, I'm really enjoying that. One thing that I want to figure out with this is how to, because right now I don't have anything plugged into it like Angular or React. I have jQuery on the page, and I need that because Bootstrap depends on jQuery, and I'm using an admin theme that depends on jQuery. I'm not in love with jQuery anymore, but I mean it works. And if push comes to shove, I can make this stuff work in jQuery. But you know, I don't know. Part of me wants to use like Angular or React to make it work. But I'm also wondering if that's just overkill, and if I could just, you know, have some click listeners on these buttons, and then just, you know, basically add them to a tally, and at the end, when they click checkout, then it posts all the episodes and says they want to sponsor these episodes in these spots. And yeah, anyway, so it'll be interesting to see how that goes. But yeah, so it gives them basically a description of the podcast, an audience profile. It explains the podcast format to them. It explains all the sponsorship levels, and then it shows them the upcoming episodes, who's sponsoring each episode, and where the openings are. And so then, yeah, so they just go through, click, 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 click. I want these spots. So I want all the pre-rolls if they're available. You know, they can just, you know, click them all. They can go in and they can, you know, pick up the mid-roll, you know, again, click those, or, you know, maybe they want to alternate between those, or, you know, just, you know, pre, mid, post, pre, mid, post, pre, mid, post. And yeah, then it just, you know, they go to check out, they pay through Stripe. It sends them an email and says, hey, you've set up this these sponsorships. Here's where you can go to log in and manage the sponsorship. Or if they already have an account to manage sponsorships, then, you know, it just says, okay, please log into your account and, you know, manage the sponsorship. So, you know, it's kind of an email receipt or invoice that it'll pull together and send to them. But then they pay after the fact. And yeah, then what happens, because sometimes what happens is they're like, you know what, we want all these spots, and then I have to fight the process of getting them to pay it. And so if I send them here, I can just say, hey, look, you know, go in, pick your spots, you know, and, you know, and pay for them, and then we'll run from there. So we'll see how all that works. But I'm pretty happy with it. I'm not sure with all of my current sponsors if that's going to work for them or not, but that's kind of what I'm looking for. And then I can kind of foresee, I don't know which of these things I'm going to wind up building into it eventually, but you know, like audience profile, for example, right now it's just a big text field that the podcaster can fill in. But you know, in the longer run, what I may do is I may allow them to like set up a survey, and then, you know, have it auto-populate that field. So we'll see how all that works. But anyway, it's as much fun to figure out what needs to go into this and dream about what could go into this as it is to build it. And I'm really, really enjoying it. And just having just the idea of getting this, all that crap off my plate, you know, the sales and all that stuff, right? So I'll still do sales calls, but at the end of the day, you know, I'll be sending them here to click through on it. I may set something up so that the podcaster can, you know, go in and fill it in for them, and then invoice them for it. You know, send them an invoice. But you know, most of them I'm just going to push to here. It's like, hey, look, you know, go to. I have the domain. I've had the domain for actually a couple of years, called PodWrench. You know, like podcast wrench or podcast tool. So anyway, and it just gives you some leverage on managing your podcast. Go figure. But yeah, anyway, so if I could have them come here and do all, you know, a lot of the, you know, let me know what they want, And then, yeah, there's going to be a whole process for managing the actual sponsorship. But yeah, so I could just see building a whole bunch of power tools in here, both for the sponsors and for the podcaster. But then if it's like a pre-recorded, which is usually what I do, I pre-record my sponsorship spots. And anyway, so if it's pre-recorded, then what happens is then it starts the process, right? So for a pre-recorded one, they can give, so what are the talking points or the script you want? And then they can put that in. And then the podcaster can pick it up, and the podcaster can say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and record this. So they sit down and they go, hey, this episode's sponsored by Linode. Go check them out for blah, blah, blah. They're offering this kind of discount, et cetera, right? Linode's one of my sponsors right now. And boom, right? Done. And then, so then they send it back, they upload it to the system notifies the sponsor goes and listens to it and says, yes, that's okay. And they approve it. And then they're done. Or, I'll give the sponsor the option of saying, you know what? I don't want to go through an approval process. Just have the podcaster record something. And so then it'll just notify him, you know what, you turned off the approvals, but we just wanted to let you know that the podcaster has uploaded the audio for your sponsorship spot. And then it'll also give them the rest of the options, right? So if there are banners involved or anything else, they can upload the banners. And that way, it just fills it all in. And then the podcaster, all they have to do is say, okay, well, the sponsor for this week, or the sponsor for this week's episode is is Linode. And then they just go on their website and they say, this banner spot is going to be filled by podwrench.com/sponsors/ or /ruby-rogue/sponsors/ banner 1, banner 1. And it'll just drop in Linode if they're supposed to be the sponsor for this week, the first one. And then next week, when a new episode comes out, then it'll put whoever should be there the next week if it's not Linode. If it's Raygun or Airbrake, which are other companies that are sponsoring the shows. And so anyway, that's kind of the idea. And so what it does is it just makes it so all that gets managed. So all I have to do is make sure that I have, the recordings or the talking points ahead of time, and that I'm good to go on delivering on the sponsorship. And that's the only piece of it that I have to really deliver. The rest of it's up to them to have it in the system, and then it just gets managed. So that's what I'm looking for. It also makes sense to me then that, I may have people that go, you know what? I don't need to do a call. I just need to, we want to sponsor this episode and that episode, and, off we go. The other thing is that I'm also looking at showing them what the upcoming episodes are. And, so I'll kind of have a schedule as far as any of that goes. And that way they can get in and they can see, for example, if we're talking about DevOps or hosting or something, that, and they're a DevOps company. So let's say that Chef doesn't want to sponsor every episode, but they're interested in one or two. Sorry, I'm rambling on about this app because I'm so excited. They could just say, okay, we want to sponsor that one, or, this one and that one. And anyway, so these are all features that I'm working into it right now. But yeah, anyway, so I've digressed. I'm just really, really loving building this. I'm really loving writing code again. I don't know how I ever got into spending so much time doing business stuff and management stuff. But, that's where I'm at these days. But yeah, so at this point, that's what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm kind of hoping that this will fill in for the person that I keep trying to hire to help me do this stuff. And at that point, then I can spend a few hours a week managing this stuff as far as just getting back to sponsors and stuff like that, and making it all work. And do some of the other things that I've wanted to do for sponsors for a while, like provide them with traffic reports and things like that. So it's, hey, you sponsored this episode. Here's how many downloads we got this week, right? And just see where things are at that way. So anyway, lots of thoughts. I'll quit rambling about this app. If you're interested in it, if you're a podcaster and you're interested in it, email me, chuck@devchat.tv. And yeah, anyway, I'm really, really excited about it. I'm actually going to get to work on it right now. Yeah, I know I should be doing like miracle morning stuff, like meditating and stuff, but and I'll probably read some affirmations a little later. But yeah, I'm really digging it. I usually get my reading time in and things like that a little later in the day. So I'll probably do a lot of the things from Miracle Morning, and then I'm gonna start Miracle Morning again in earnest on Monday. But yeah, I'm loving it. I found my passion again, and it's dumb because I've always known that I love this stuff. So yeah, so I'm gonna make it happen. I'm hoping that I have at least a workable prototype up by the end of the day, but we'll see. So anyway, I'm excited by the options that it offers, and yeah, we'll see what happens. So yeah, I'm gonna sign off, and I'll talk to you all on Monday. If not tomorrow, but tomorrow, probably not tomorrow. I've got to get up and I've got to fill in the holes from fixing my water main. And I have a Pinewood Derby track that I'm hoping to get the rest of the way functional. It works now, but it's not perfect. And so, I'm doing a little bit of IoT hacking, I guess. It runs off an Arduino, and that all works, and it does all the timers and everything else. But it has two buttons that you have to push, and I have them taped together so you can push them at the same time. But you push the one, and it releases the cars at the top of the track, and then when you let up off the other one, that's when the timer starts. And so it depends on how long you hold the button down. There might be some inconsistency on the timing, and so I'm hoping to get it to one button, so you just hit the button one time, and it drops the track and starts the timer at the same time. So that's what I'm working on. Should be interesting. Anyway, I will see y'all Monday.